Ferrari just introduced a major upgrade ahead of the Bahrain Grand Prix, and it could be exactly what Lewis Hamilton needs to shake off the sluggish start to his season. Reports indicate that Ferrari has overhauled the floor design on the SF-25, an area that's been their Achilles heel so far this year. Hamilton, who's been struggling with a car that often feels like it's driving him rather than the other way around, will no doubt be keeping close tabs on this update. But can this tweak truly turn things around for Ferrari? And more critically, can it arm Hamilton with the machinery he needs to challenge the front-runners before the season slips away? Let's not sugarcoat it. 2025 has been a rocky road for Ferrari. What was supposed to be a bold new era with Hamilton at the helm has quickly turned into a humbling experience. While Red Bull, McLaren, and even Mercedes have surged ahead, Ferrari has looked like they're playing catch-up in an entirely different race category. In Maranello, the mood has been far from celebratory. Picture waking up late, stubbing your toe, spilling espresso on a white shirt, and realizing it's tax day, all before 9 a.m. That's where Ferrari's at. Hamilton was brought on to lead a transformation, a renaissance, to inject his winning mentality, unmatched experience, and relentless determination into the Scuderia. But instead of guiding a red resurgence, he's found himself stuck in the same frustrating limbo he left behind at Mercedes. At the Japanese Grand Prix, Hamilton managed a bleak P8 in qualifying and only climbed one spot during the entire race. While he got past the Racing Bull's Isaac Hadjar early on, he spent the remainder watching teenage sensation Kimi Antonelli, his replacement at Mercedes, vanish into the distance. The same Antonelli who crossed the finish line over 10 seconds ahead of Hamilton. If that's not a gut punch, what is? To make matters worse, even within his own garage, Hamilton is getting outclassed. Charles Leclerc, in arguably the same temperamental car, finished P4 at Suzuka, 13 seconds clear of Lewis, and outqualified him by 4 positions. Held his ground, delivered results. This isn't about Lewis losing his touch. It's about him driving a machine that feels more like a noodle in a sword fight than a championship contender. The SF-25's biggest flaw is hauntingly familiar. It shares the same narrow operational window that plagued Hamilton's final years with Mercedes. The car only performs optimally under very specific conditions: track temp, setup configuration, surface grip. Step outside that window, and the whole thing unravels, like an artist who can only paint during a thunderstorm by candlelight. Former world champion Jacques Villeneuve noted during the Japanese GP that Hamilton's car was sliding around quite a bit, a diplomatic way of saying it looked like a shopping trolley on a frozen pond. When a driver doesn't trust the rear end, they can't push the limit through corners. And that's where Hamilton is right now, driving around the issue rather than attacking it. He wants a car that listens, that responds, that gives feedback when he's threading it through the chicanes. Instead, he's fighting against it, adjusting his style just to survive. Add to that the strange sight of Hamilton trailing behind Alex Albon in the championship standings, and it's easy to see why the 7-time champ might be feeling the heat. Sure, there was that disqualification in China due to excessive plank wear, but even without it, he's averaging a mere 5 points per race. That's midfield pace. That's not what anyone envisioned when the Hamilton to Ferrari headlines broke last year. So now, Bahrain looms large. It's the moment where the team either begins their long crawl back to the front or quietly accepts that 2025 is already slipping away, focusing instead on the next regulation reset. For Hamilton, whose fire for that elusive 8th title still burns bright, this is the line in the sand. The next chapter could mark the beginning of redemption or just another costly misfire. Now let's get into the nuts and bolts. What exactly is wrong with the SF-25? In simple terms, everything that counts. And in Formula One, if you can't trust the rear end of your car, you might as well be blindfolded. The SF-25's fatal flaw is its lack of rear stability. Not the kind that lets you slide through Monte Carlo hairpins for fun, but the kind that ruins corner exits and kills lap consistency. This instability means the car isn't glued to the track like its rivals. Leclerc, to his credit, seems to be adapting. His natural talent and flexibility allow him to make the most of what the car offers, like dancing gracefully with a drunk partner. Hamilton, he's never been the guy to muscle a flawed car around. He relies on feel, on trust, on knowing what the car beneath him is going to do every lap. Right now, that trust is gone. Worse still, this isn't just a balance issue. It's a consistency issue. When the car slips at the rear, the tires overheat. And when the tires go over the edge, performance falls off a cliff. That leads to a vicious loop, like what we saw in his last Mercedes season with the W15. Back then, Hamilton was stuck with a car so temperamental, it needed ideal conditions to perform. Basically, a lunar eclipse on a 17 degrees Celsius day with perfect setup. Ferrari's SF-25 is suffering from the same curse. It's hypersensitive to external conditions. When things are just right, it's competitive. But if the team misses the setup even slightly, it's a mess. Corner sliding, tire degradation, and poor race pace all rear their heads. This tightrope approach to engineering means Ferrari's margin for error is razor thin. Small setup tweaks, ride height, wing angle, suspension stiffness can make or break their weekend. And Hamilton? He's had enough. He's asked to run the car as low as possible to improve downforce. But after his DQ in China, Ferrari had to raise the ride height in Japan. That's like asking a sprinter to race in ankle weights. So here they are, at a crossroads. The SF-25 isn't fundamentally broken, but it's unforgiving. It punishes any misstep. That's not the DNA of a title winner. It's a blueprint for another year of almost. Now here's where things could shift. Ahead of Bahrain, Ferrari has finally had enough of watching Norris and Verstappen cruise into the distance like they're playing in rookie mode. They've brought a revised floor to the SF-25. And while that may sound dull to the average viewer, in Formula One terms, it's revolutionary. The floor is the car's aerodynamic heartbeat. It controls how air flows underneath and stabilizes the entire platform, particularly the rear. And that's been Ferrari's biggest problem: turbulent, messy airflow disrupting the rear-end stability. The new floor aims to fix that: cleaner airflow, more stable handling, and a broader setup window. This is where Hamilton's cautious optimism begins. A wider operating window means more flexibility. The car becomes more adaptable, more forgiving, more predictable. Less like a raging bull, more like a tamed stallion. Ferrari's goal is to run the car lower, increase downforce, avoid plank where issues, and Ferrari's goal is to run the car lower, increase downforce, avoid plank where issues, and, most critically, give both drivers a stable foundation. Is it going to suddenly make Ferrari the new Red Bull? No, but it signals that Ferrari hasn't given up on this campaign just yet. For Hamilton, this is hope. Because if there's one thing he needs to extract top-tier performance, it's faith in the car's rear. He's not just fast. He's fast when the machine gives him feedback, when he can lean on it in every corner, when the rear reacts in sync with the front. Right now, it's like a relay race where the front starts sprinting, but the rear drops the baton. This update is Ferrari's way of saying, "We hear you, Lewis." They're acknowledging this isn't just a matter of setup or driver adaptation. It's structural, it's real, and it needs fixing. When you have a driver of Hamilton's caliber, addressing these issues isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. If this new floor works, it won't just allow Hamilton to stop defending and start attacking. It will be proof that Ferrari still believes in this partnership, that his feedback, his presence, and his insight are shaping the future of the team. And if he starts climbing the leaderboard, we'll all know this wasn't just about car performance. It was about giving the man the right tools. Of course, this upgrade doesn't exist in isolation. Right across the garage, Leclerc is quietly getting on with the job and doing it well. Despite the car's issues, he's been out-qualifying Hamilton, out-racing him, and finishing well ahead. In Japan, the gap was a glaring 13 seconds. That's not down to strategy or misfortune. That's execution. That's adaptation. That's a message: I figured this car out. Have you? Is this turning into a rivalry? Not officially, but it's definitely not all handshakes and high-fives either. Hamilton didn't sign with Ferrari to play second fiddle, and Leclerc knows he's not here to be mentored by a legend. He's here to win. There's respect, sure, but also tension, awareness. Only one of them can be the team leader when the dust settles. So let's answer the big question. Can Lewis Hamilton mount a comeback this season? Short answer: yes, if this upgrade does its job. Long answer: it's complicated. Hamilton is still the same driver, razor-sharp, hungry, experienced. But without a car that lets him drive to his strengths, he's handcuffed. If Bahrain proves that Ferrari has finally prioritized fixing the foundation rather than chasing headlines, then Lewis could well claw his way back into podium contention. A championship might be out of reach, but redemption? That's still on the table.